Hey, Radical fans, I'm Phil.
I'm Andrew.
And we're going to talk today about some topics we received on the fan page, things you may want to know, and some insight into some of the things about the bowling world.
And we're going to start off with a hot one. The first one we're going to talk about today is, should we encourage bowlers at a young age to bowl two-handed?
And interestingly enough, I wish I had my other staff member here, Joey Pants. He would have an opinion on that, I'm for sure.
Well, he wouldn't have an opinion. He would have a two-letter answer. No.
How about no?
No. No, this is interesting.
It really is, if you think about it. When do you...
I coach at TurboTech. I do a lot of coaching. I would say about 30% of my lessons are now two-handed.
Wow.
30%, I mean, we're talking about a lot of kids,
Yeah.
all ranging from the ages of 14 to 18. Okay, and what I find is that not having to worry about a thumb hole is very easy for them.
Right.
When I start with a bowler and I put them in a fit, with
Right.
especially fingertip,
Right.
and you try to teach them, hey, thumb out, fingers out, thumb out, then fingers, thumb out, then fingers.
Right.
That takes almost the longest amount of time. Teaching somebody how to walk, timing, not that hard.
Really?
Teaching somebody to get the ball into the swing, not that hard. The hardest thing is the release.
Wow.
And the whole yo-yo motion that
Yep.
the modern game has, when you talk about, like myself,
Yep.
you see Don Barrett have a huge yo-yo release. It's
Right.
cup on cup. As a two-hander, you naturally do that. You're cupping the ball
Right.
without your thumb in it. You
Yeah.
put your thumb in
Yeah.
it, your hand wants to sit flat.
So what age is the kids, do you think, or does that go by strength, physically capable of doing that?
I would say, I mean, weight of ball matters a lot too, right? Like
Yeah.
technically, you could have an 8-year-old throwing a 6-pound ball,
Right.
and it would be easier than an 8-year-old throwing a 6-pound ball with a thumb in it.
Gotcha.
They could actually use more weight early on,
Okay.
which I think is actually useful. And I'm not advocating, hey, everybody go bowl two-handed. Obviously, I'm a one-handed bowler. I'm not going to change.
Right. Right.
And if I did it over again, would I change? Probably not.
Right.
But I do think there's advantages to some of the younger kids who are maybe on the smaller side, a
Yeah.
little shorter.
Right.
And if you're 13, 14 years old and you're struggling with a 12-pound ball,
Right.
you can throw a 14-pound ball two-handed. Get those legs moving.
Yeah, I understand that. So what about and I'm old school, obviously. That's why we have different generations.
Yep.
What about learning the game? I mean, to me, a two-handed bowler doesn't have the nuances of the game as much as a traditional bowler would, meaning hand positions, changing the tilt, changing the roll.
Well, I mean,
You know.
when you bowl on some easier patterns, right?
Yeah.
How often do you really need to change ball roll? Not
Okay.
that often.
No, you're right.
So it depends on how high of a level you want to get to.
Right,
Like if
right.
you're planning on bowling high school, you love the game of bowling, but do you love it enough to try to go pro at it? You
Right.
can get by high school bowling and college bowling two-handed,
All right.
and not learning some of the releases that you would need
Yeah.
trying to compete against myself or the Tommy Jones of the world.
Right.
Um,
Right.
So I do think that I see where you're saying that
Yeah.
maybe early on you're a touch more limited in how you understand to change
Correct.
releases.
Correct.
But if you look, I mean, our game at the highest level has some very good two-handers, and I promise you they have some release changes.
No, I'm
Yeah.
sure they do.
But learning them may be different.
Learning them, and I don't think they all started out as two-handers, the ones in our
Right.
game. I mean, I think most of them started out
One-handed?
as a one-handed bowler, I
To
think.
learn the game?
To learn the game.
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But as I teach, the more I teach and the more I have one-handed versus two-handed,
Right.
the biggest thing I'm going to say is taking that thumb out of the ball when it comes to learning the right release.
Right.
And by the right release, I mean your generic, keep your hand underneath the ball,
Right.
try to turn your hand
I
a bunch.
understand. Yeah.
Way easier. When you put
I
the
believe
thumb in
it.
it, that thumb at a young
I know,
age
it
wants to
creates
go right
problems.
over top.
Sure it does. I agree.
And that
Yeah.
causes not only hand problems, but elbow problems,
Yeah,
a lot of different
yeah,
things. So
Yeah.
you can bowl good both ways.
Oh, I'm sure you
we
can.
know that.
Sure you can.
We know that. But at
Yeah,
a young
yeah,
age,
yeah.
I will encourage, if somebody's struggling with especially the weight of it, I'm
Right.
going to encourage two-handed.
Wow.
Because it's going to take a lot
Yeah,
of stress off
yeah,
that body at a
yeah,
young age.
yeah.
And that doesn't mean, like, everybody's like, well, are you ever going to go back one-handed? Doesn't mean you can't try to learn later on.
No, I understand that. Yeah. Yeah, I just, like I said, being the old school part of the game still,
Right.
you know, I like to learn from the ground up and, you know.
For sure. 100%. And
two-handed is a little different.
we never had, well, I should
No, we
say
never had.
you never really had two-handers. So I grew up
No,
in a
yeah.
generation where I
Right.
had two-handers
Yeah,
around me.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
watched it the whole time. I
Right.
never had to watch somebody transition from one to two-handed.
Sure.
I've only watched a two-hander bowl two-handed.
Two-handed. I understand. That's good. That's how we talk about things, folks. And Andrew had some great insight. He didn't convince me to go two-handed yet, but maybe.
We can get you a little 8-pounder going.
I think if I try two-handed, the first thing you want to do is dial the first numbers of 911.
Okay.
And just hit the send button
Have 'em
right
on-
after
have
the
'em
first
ready.
shot comes off my hand. That's one of our topics for today. If you have any questions, drop them in the bottom. We have a lot more coming for you.